My cat just took a freaking poop and it stinks bad.
Oh my god, that's the absolute worst. The litter box is like right over there in that closet.
Oh, I definitely do not miss that part of having a cat.
Dude,
Yeah,
I have a normal smelling poop already. Jeez.
I'm glad we're recording this.
Oh man, it's in my nose now. It won't go away. Smell my soda.
You're listening to The Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean, American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Janchi Show. I am one of your hosts, Patrick Armstrong, here with my brothers in podcasting, KJ Roelke and Nathan Nowak. What's up, y'all?
But not brothers otherwise. Outside of the podcast, we hate each other.
Outside of the podcast, we have a not
We're mortal enemies.
vocal relationship. I don't know what that means, but what's up? How you doing?
What's up?
What? That's not the energy I expected you to come in with.
Hey, what's up?
Wow, just destroying his
Just
microphone.
Absolutely,
Again.
completely staring at it, and it's hurting my eyes to look at your
I'm sitting
waveform.
back here again. Sorry.
Hilarious.
I'm good. It's good to be back here with y'all. Yeah, especially after the unexpected break from Thanksgiving, but
It was
Totally
needed.
planned, totally expected break for Thanksgiving.
You're right. It's totally planned, totally expected, as our show historically is.
Definitely did not have to reschedule an interview.
No,
All good. Nathan, how are you?
ever good. I'm great. It's snowy out here in Colorado.
Oh, is it really?
It is. It got down to like 11 degrees on Friday, and they got a snowfall all day long, and then all day night, and then Saturday
All
was
day
pretty
night.
snowy, all
The
day
day-
and all night.
The daytime of the night.
Yes. So there's plenty of snow still on the ground, but the sun's out, so it's slowly melting. But so not too bad. It ruined my golf plans for Wednesday, but that's okay.
Well, as of right now, it's 50 degrees, so that's where I'm at. I can't.
Is that cold?
I can't even. Yeah, it's cold. I can't even imagine snow. I mean, the low is like 32. So we had to last night. We brought some of Sarah's plants in from outside so that they didn't die. But like, I can't even imagine snow. Like you said that, and I was like, oh, I guess it is winter, and that
It
means
is.
in other parts of the country there might be that white stuff on the ground. But yeah,
Yes.
that's just like so far out of my brain. Because Sarah is also like, man, can you believe that just 6 months ago it was like 110?
That is pretty wild.
So
Oh, I
yeah.
know. Last week it was like 70s here. It was like high 70s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like
So-
I don't even remember the last 70-degree day was. I feel like it's been mid 50s and lower.
Oh,
This
geez.
past week, it's been rocking a steady 30 to 40 degrees. So super
But
fun.
before we
out here
get
in the
too far,
Midwest.
for anyone new listening to the show, we are the Janchi Show, Korean adoptees, talking about our heritage, past culture, discoveries, stories.
You
sometimes
sound
with a
so
guest.
bothered by having to
It's-
share that information.
It's because it's like 5 minutes into the intro already, and I just remembered, hey, we should probably say that.
No, I just,
Technically, it's only like a
remembered that Nathan went full pilot mode. Hey, everybody, we're the John Chi Show, Korean adoptees. Clear skies coming in over the bay. We talk about our stories, and we're going to get you where you need to go.
You didn't even
Exactly.
define what Janchi was for our new listeners, though. So why don't you go ahead and hit them with
True.
that?
Well, conveniently, after last week of Thanksgiving, it means to feast and celebrate and banquet, which, we are feasting and
How
celebrating
convenient.
on other things than Thanksgiving dinner. Yes, or lunch for some people, I guess. Ours was actually a lunch. So, do you guys do dinner or lunch?
We do a late dinner. I mean, a late lunch or early dinner situation.
A
With
dinner.
with
Got
my
it.
family, we gathered at 2:00 and ate at like 3:30, probably, well, maybe 3. And then with Sarah's family, we gathered at 5 and ate at like 7, probably. So just
So you had two?
Yeah, Thursday and then Saturday.
That's awesome.
We did a lunch situation and then ate leftovers from that lunch at our house by ourselves. It was great. Great time.
I throw this out there. I know this is kind of random, but I saw some video on leftovers where they put the stuffing into a waffle maker and made it into like a breading and then put a turkey sandwich with that. So essentially made a turkey sandwich, but the stuffing was the bread.
Smart.
In a waffle maker. Yeah. So in case nobody saw that, now you can go search that recipe.
If you still have leftovers.
If you have leftovers.
Maybe throw them away by the time this podcast comes out. But if you want to risk it for the biscuit,
maybe they froze them.
Yeah. I don't think that technology exists.
Who knows?
It's not 11 degrees everywhere across the country, okay?
Yeah, I do set my food outside.
Yeah, you can't just
pray that no animals come and get it. Just it'll keep.
Yeah, it'll be fine, they said. So talking about Thanksgiving, are there any particular foods or traditions that you feel are like staples of how you and your family have celebrated that holiday?
Before I answer this question, I have talked about it before we got on air, but this cat poop is just stinking. It is just destroying my nostrils right now. I'm furious. That's a great question. So now,
Patrick's going to sound more nasally than ever.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we don't really like. There's always like the traditional like stuffings, and I like green bean casserole. I feel like that's the thing that makes me think of this time. But when my grandparents on my mom's side were still able to host holidays, we would have Thanksgiving like the last week of October because our family was so large. So our grandparents would want to give everyone an opportunity to gather, and then they can go do their own thing when the actual holiday rolled around. And I think they went to like Las Vegas or something. So I remember that. I've been thinking about that a lot recently, actually. And we would also always play bingo on Thanksgiving at that gathering, which was really fun. Yeah. And they always incentivize you could pick 3 different cans and after you won. And under each can was a 0, a 1, or a 2, because everybody would win like $1 or something. And then it would multiply, or you could get the goose egg and get no money, no dollars. And so I've just been thinking about that a lot lately because we actually have the bingo board and ball rolling cage thing that we use for that. So I see that a lot, and I've been thinking about that because it's been this time. But right now, like, it's really more, I guess, of the foods, but we don't really have like a specific tradition that we've had ongoing. It's going to be something new, I think, that we start for ourselves.
Hey, I like that bingo thing. I mean, nothing says Thanksgiving like gambling, so
super competitive. I remember being so furious, like when I would lose, like somebody would get a bingo before me. I'd be playing like 6 cards, just furious.
I like that because I mean, family time. I think of games, board games, and things because I think my family used to play a lot of board games during Thanksgiving. Of course, there's always football on the TV, so sometimes we would watch that. But I mean, my family is very specific or cliche, I guess you could say. It's very same. It's just turkey stuffing, cranberry, cornbread, sweet potato casserole, green beans. It's very almost. You could almost pick out every single thing that was going to be on the table every year, which is why when I married Allison, I really appreciated mixing it up. With her family being
really you who loves new things, you're like excited for new things at Thanksgiving.
I do. So as we all know, it's canon. I love a mixture, like buffet style of food. And for Allison's family, they are Japanese and Chinese, and they do this is actually the Japanese side that does this. They get a big gathering that is like a potluck, and everyone just brings different things, and so it's always different. No 2 years are the same. There's always something that's a little unique, and I just love that. And on top of that, though, there's also something that's always the same. So I can say that are some traditions that they always bring, like this thing called Jello cream cake that was really tasty.
Yep.
That has like the cream and the Jello on the top, and then a crust, which we did find out has macadamia nuts in it. As my son says, my throat's itchy.
Yikes.
Yeah, so
That
that was
kid
fun.
nuts, man. No good. Bad combo.
And then they have like a frozen pineapple ginger ale Sprite mixture that they make every year, and that's always tasty.
Oh, yeah.
And my son proceeded to have 5 glasses of that. So to say the least, he was high on sugar, but we had a good time, and the food was excellent. And this was the first time we actually gathered in Los Angeles with the relatives in 5 years. We haven't been there since before the pandemic. So that was nice to see everybody, and the little 11-year-old cousins that we used to see are now 16 and driving, or, the grandparents are all wandering around in wheelchairs, and everything is just, it's just an older, everyone's just older, doing different things, working. I mean, it was cool to catch up. So there was a couple new kids there because, people had babies in the last 5 years, but we really enjoyed seeing everybody. So that was pretty much our Thanksgiving. What about you, KJ?
Yeah, that's awesome. I always say there's something like new life to make you like realize the passage of time and things like that. Our Thanksgivings were good. The way my family does it is everyone comes to my parents' house either for Thanksgiving or Christmas morning, and they alternate every year. So this year was Thanksgiving, so everyone came, and we had, the Packers game was just wrapping up, and so my dad was watching that with like his Packers shirt on, or his Packers like jacket on, and then like the Cowboys game came on, and he like took off his jacket, and he was wearing like a Cowboy shirt beneath it. Like,
wow, dedication.
He's just like, well, and it's funny too because my youngest nephew walks in, and 30 seconds later, he's screaming at the TV for the Cowboys to do a thing. And I was like, we were all just like, wow, that kid is very into football right now. So, and he's like 8 or 9. So, just wild to do that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that we have any. Actually, I guess we do. We have a couple of traditions. One of them is we don't do pumpkin pie. We do a dish called pumpkin supreme, which is like a graham cracker crust with like pumpkin, and then there's like a pudding mix layer, and then whipped cream on top. It's multiple layers. There's pumpkin, but it's not just like a basic pumpkin pie.
Send me a piece of that. That sounds
great.
Real good.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's really ruined me on pumpkin pie because I'm like, oh, it's just so like whatever.
That's so boring
after this.
Like pumpkin basic.
Yeah,
mid pumpkin.
So that's a classic for us, and then I just realized this. So my granddad, who passed away last year, he couldn't stand marshmallows. But Sarah's family always grew up with sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top, and I never did that. And so the first time I had Thanksgiving with her, I was like, "What are these?" Like, I was like, "Where are the sweet potatoes?" And she's like, it's here." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that's what it was because it was covered in marshmallows." So I ate it, and I was not a huge fan. But because my granddad didn't like marshmallows, like we never had marshmallows there. So I realized that like that is, I mean, not that sweet potatoes are not already traditional, but like just that little thing was because of him, and it was a tradition that like I never put 2 and 2 together. Even though there's like some really funny stories about him and marshmallows and his and my grandma and stuff. So yeah, so that's I don't know, that's what we did. And then with my in-laws, or I guess my mother-in-law in-laws. There's multiple in-laws there. We got together, and so my sister-in-law's fiance she's from Puerto Rico, and so she made some like Puerto Rican style turkey and rice and other stuff, and then we had like other traditional things. And so kind of like this is how we like want to do it, and so like my brother smoked ribs because he was excited about a new smoker. So I think it's always like, here's the traditions, and then like, what are you excited to make, and let's do that as well. Which I think is how we've been doing it. But I wanted to open, I guess, the conversation around Thanksgiving, obviously just because we had it and we're catching up, but also it leads us into what I really want to spend some time talking about today, which, picking up from last week, or the last episode that we had out. But today I want to think about like, what does it mean to be a part of our families? Like you, Nathan, are a dad. Patrick, you've got a kid on the way. I would like to be a dad sometime in the future. But I think that there's so much around, like being a part of family and being adopted. And I'm curious, like what were the spoken or unspoken values of like what it meant to be part of the Armstrong clan or part of the Nowak, family? Like, what is that? Like, did you have anything like that were like, oh yeah, this is like what it means to be like one of us or something?
Well, I mean, other than the fact that, we did travel from Colorado to California for this event that we hadn't been to in a while, but is an annual event, that we always had been to when we did live in LA. We wanted to instill in our kids and show them that we were gathering, for this event, and that we were going out of our way to travel all the way over there to see family, to be with family, to spend time and make memories with them. And that was what we wanted them to experience, because we only have a little bit of family out here. My parents, there's a couple cousins, but this is like a big event with like, I want to say 25 people at least. And so we just wanted them to see that, we're getting together. These are your cousins. These are the people that are related to you. And, even though some of them they're meeting for the first time, others that they don't remember, but they're, and most of them had never met Robin because she was only born 3 years ago. So, and so there was only a few people that had met her. So we just, I think that was just, it was gathering with family. That was our main focus for this Thanksgiving, that we wanted them to see and get used to. And then we, of course, asked them, do you guys want to do it again next year? And, I don't know if it was the fruit punch talking or the fact that they had way too much pie and chips and cookies and stuff. But I think they really enjoyed playing with family and sharing that time with them. So I was happy to go out there. And I'm happy that we made that decision to do it last minute, even though we were only there for 3 days. We literally left Wednesday, spent Thursday at the Thanksgiving, and came back Friday. So, yeah.
What about when you were growing up? Like, what was that? Is that something that carried over from your family too, that you want to like pass down? Or
yeah, there's always either a grandparent or sometimes a cousin or somebody coming for Thanksgiving that you may not have seen in a few years, or maybe you only see once a year, and that's the time that you see them. So I think for us, it is about just connecting with family when, you have busy lives. So, so I think that's what my kids will be thinking of Thanksgiving, is essentially that. And of course, we do talk about giving thanks and stuff as well, but that's, for us, it's, I don't know, that part is secondary sometimes, which I don't know, maybe it should be more of a focus. I know it's a lot of focus for a lot of people, where hence the Thanksgiving, theme is you want to be thankful for everything that you have and the people in your life and stuff. So I guess, we should mention that a little bit more as the focus, that we are thankful for family, and that's why we're getting together.
I think when I was growing up, very similar. Like, it was like a time to see family, be with people you don't necessarily see very often. I think my dad's side of the family and my mom's side of the family are so different, celebrated differently. My dad's side was more like a fairly apostolic Christian style family. So, like my aunt and uncle's house that we would go to, they didn't have a TV. So we had to find other ways to entertain ourselves, which was basically just running around outside. Like on my mom's side of the family, like I said, we played games, and I feel like I felt more connected there. And at the end of the day, it was just like, okay, we get together and we get to spend time with each other. And that's generally how it happens. But in between these holidays, like, there wasn't really a whole lot of that connection outside of like my intermediate family. And so when I think about like, what does that mean to be a part of the family and to like celebrate these times together? I don't know. I guess I was hoping when you were talking, Nathan, I would have a better answer. Like, I would hear my answer in your answer.
Yeah.
And I feel like I really don't have one, because I don't I don't know that we ever talked about like what does that mean outside of like we're just a big happy family. I think what's interesting to think about as we move forward into like having our own child, Emily and I, and thinking about how our two families are big, like have been big and are growing smaller, I feel like. And like especially in our immediate circle, like this will be the only grandchild. If we only have one kid. Like it'll be the first grandchild. Emily doesn't have siblings. My sister's not planning on having any kids, doesn't really want to have kids. So it's like it's almost like we have to create that meaning too. And I think that's kind of what I've been thinking about as we get closer to that time. And like we keep talking about on the show, it's like, what does it mean to be this person, or what does it mean to be whoever you are? And I think something I talked about before is just like building community too. Like I think about that as family. And I think when I think about the future of like, what does it mean to be part of the Armstrong family or clan or community, I think about it being my immediate family and like who else is here and involved. And we had a couple Friendsgiving things that we really wanted to go to this year that got canceled for numerous reasons, health related generally. And it's like, I think about that and like, how can we build that out and like make that part of the tradition and that part of the family? And it means more than just seeing like your grandparents or whoever. Like it's that and like being part of this larger community that we're in right now. So I guess what I've been thinking about. And when shout out to my mom. I apologize. I know you're listening right now, and I don't have a good answer for what it means to be a part of the Armstrong family. So you can text me and tell me what it's supposed to mean. But right now, I don't have a good answer for you.
Well, I think that's one of the things too, is like to me, it's more of a thing that I probably would have thought about having experienced a conversation through television, like there's a lot of, I think like what it means to be, and maybe this is just growing up in the 90s and early 2000s and seeing like Asians and Asian Americans, but mostly I guess like Asians through the white American lens of like what it means to be from Asia. You're like, oh yeah, this is what it means to be part of our family. And like, this is like blah, blah, blah. There's like family, there's honor, there's whatever. And then like you talk to Asian Americans and like the first thing he says like, yeah, we don't talk about honor as much as you think that we do. Like, right. But I think just experiencing that and that like kind of mentality made me really reflect on what it meant to be a part of my family. I know that like generosity was a big thing because my maternal grandparents were very well off, and my parents both were well off, and so it was always like I think my granddad especially was incredibly generous, and that was something that I learned about him from an early age. And so my dad strove to be like that. My brother-in-law strives to be like that. I strive to be like that. And so I think that there were like generosity is a big through line for my family. I think like having people in your home is a big through line, whether that's because they need a place to stay, whether that's because we're having a gathering and like they're welcome at our table. Like for Thanksgiving, it's not uncommon for us to have like international like friendships partner situations, like with international students at our table or whatever. But I think that like those are a couple of values that I would like to continue to pass on with my own family. And I think part of it is like I would think about this so much because I really wanted to fit in to my family. Being adopted wasn't enough. Being adopted and loved and told like over and over again wasn't enough. I was still being like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure that I figure out the best way to make that happen, Right. So I just like, it's interesting to me. And I love that you brought up the idea of like chosen family essentially, and like kind of the broader community, because I wonder like what role being adopted plays in how we think about that type of belonging in a type of like specific. Is there like a character trait? Is there a value that we hold? Whatever that it means that like if you belong, then you subscribe to these values, these characteristics, these personality traits, whatever.
Yeah. I will say that generosity for sure, I think, is a through line for both sides of my family for sure. And definitely my mom's side. So I'm glad that you said that, because I'm like, okay, jogging the memory. Let me throw one in there. That that's really makes sense for us. And I think that, like, at the end of the day, I think a lot of it and a lot of the things that I've been thinking about recently come back to, like, it's almost like legacy. And, like, I think a lot of times, like, I took for granted being in my family because, like, on the opposite side of what you're talking about, KJ, I just wanted to, not only did I want to fit in, but, like, there was this awareness gap of being Asian and being different. And, like, I so assimilated to that point that no one in my family treated me like I was Asian, like I was really different. They never felt that way. So I think for a while, like, it felt like I was taking it for granted when I look back on it. Like, I just took for granted being a part of that unit. But now I brought up legacy specifically because, like, now that I've come to consciousness and, like, been going on this journey, and, like, I've been talking about the culture and, like, the lack of connection there. And, like, when I think about going forward, like, what can I give my kids from that aspect? I've been thinking about, like, the thing that I can truly leave is, like, knowing myself and knowing who I am and what I can do and how I can build community for myself too. And as by extension for my family, and, like, what kind of community I want to build. And I don't know if it's, like, a character trait of, like, the adoptee identity within me that I hold. I don't think that had I not ever come to consciousness, I would even be thinking that way. I think it would just be limited to the community I already had. And I wouldn't even be bothered by, oh, I want to do this for my kid. Like, I want them to have a more diverse set of people around them that we do stuff with, and that we go and experience different cultures and different customs and different things like that. But I think, like, that's the legacy. If, like, I can't, like, if I don't already have all of this internalized that I can then, like, pass down and, like, teach instead of learning alongside, like, the legacy that I can be proud of leaving is that, like, I'm modeling what it looks like to, like, at least do the work of knowing who I am. So that way, when they become old enough to be aware of, like, what that is, they can, like, operate from that place of, like, they know who they are. And I'm like, and if I can model that, I feel like that feels good, to think about. And I'm like, okay, that can be the tradition. That's part of the legacy. That's what it means to be part of the family, is, like, we can find security in our own and who we are and our own identities. And we can do the work even when it's hard, like, even when it's difficult, because there's going to be those times too. And hopefully that includes the community stuff and yada, yada, yada. So.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that you said earlier too, 2 points. One, I forgot to mention what we brought to our Thanksgiving potluck. And this is something
like red envelopes.
Yeah, no, not red envelopes. We brought a Korean dish. It was essentially white rice with some Japanese. White rice done.
Hey, you Japanese folk have probably never heard about this, but how do you feel about white rice? Check this out. You put it in the microwave for a minute and it's ready. Boom.
I'm getting there. And then it had Japanese mayo, and then the gochujang tuna. If you've ever seen that, it's in a can, and a bunch of tuna was chopped up with some kimchi and then some seaweed flakes on top. But it's a Korean dish that Allison had a while back that she really liked, and so bringing that again, like I said, my family's Thanksgiving is very traditional, but whereas Allison's family has a potluck where you can bring anything. You could bring sushi, there's spam musubi, there's all kinds of different things. And we brought this Korean dish because we're Korean. Our family is, 4 out of 5 of our family members are Korean. And so it was interesting to provide that, because back in the day, I wouldn't have wanted to do that. I wouldn't have wanted to bring something different or stick out.
You'd have been like, yo, have you heard of mac and cheese? It's great. You just put it in the microwave, ready in a minute.
And so that, I think, is something that has developed for me as uniqueness and wanting to not just blend in, but to lean forward into that by, even if nobody eats it, at least I brought it and I ate it, and some other people ate it. My kids didn't eat it, but
Did Allison eat it?
Someday Allison ate it. She loves it. And other people did. It was actually probably half gone, I think, by the time the end of the night. But I know I love that. The second thing I wanted to mention is you also talking about community and the friendversaries or friend Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving. Sorry. That's what I used to do. Yeah, I used to do that too.
Celebrate Friendiversary? No,
not anymore. But I used to when I didn't have all my family's events to go to. Before I'd met Allison, I did. When I was in California and I couldn't come back to Colorado to my family's events, I would do those Friendsgivings events. And that I think was very important because it was, like you said, it's not just about family events. It's about community and other relationships that you've made. And that I think is very important. Something that I think is also something good to consider as a tradition or legacy for my family is getting together with people. And it was just, even if they're not family, they are my friends, which are like family. So I really appreciate that. I saw a lot of photos of Friendsgiving events that were happening, and I really think that's awesome. And yeah, I think that should be something that can carry on to everybody who may live apart from their family or maybe even estranged from their family, right? So,
well, I think a big change too that has happened over the last 20 years, probably 10 years maybe, is, and not to get too political on the show, but is like the decentralization of like what Thanksgiving has always been or meant or represented, which is like the Native American people
Pilgrims.
and the white people colonizers sat down together and it was all good. We taught them how to grow corn and all of this shit. And it's just like,
I don't think we taught them how to grow corn.
I don't know. They taught us how to grow corn. I don't remember.
And we said, here, have a side of smallpox.
Well, and it's like, even in school, like I remember when I was a young kid in school, we would like make pilgrim hats and then like indigenous feather band things, and you'd sit down and you have a meal and the parents would come and everybody would like, pilgrims and Indians, and it was just like, and I look back on that now and I'm just like, that sucked.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
That's horrible.
I have a photo of me walking around with a bow and arrow in a play.
But it's like, I think that idea was always tied to this idea of family. And for whatever reason, like they were just pulled together and it was just like, this is what this means. And I think I said 10, 20 years, probably even longer than that, people have been like, we have to move away from this idea because it erases, what happened to the indigenous people through colonization. And I saw an interesting thing from an activist that I follow, talking about how, this idea of having a day off with your family and like just being thankful to be together is also like almost anti-indigenous in a way, because it's like they didn't, like, this was never what it was about. Like when we think about Thanksgiving in that way, and I'm like, oh, okay, that really made me stop and think about like, what does it mean this time? And I think anybody's allowed to have their own interpretation of like what this means to them. And I'm not saying that you can't have that, and I'm not trying to take that away. It was just something that I saw that really made me stop and think, because again, I didn't grow up learning about any of this. I grew up learning about one idea of what Thanksgiving was. And in my insulated like life, I didn't really have I never had any desire or outlet to learn anything other than this standardized version of what Thanksgiving is. And so like, I don't even use the word, I don't say Thanksgiving very often anymore either. I don't even know what I call the holiday, the fall holiday, I guess. I say the winter holiday as opposed to like Christmas. Like I'm just using the word holiday now. It's just throwing it around.
It's a Harvest Hoedown, I guess.
Yeah.
The Harvest Hoedown. I actually really like that. I'm going to have to use that. But I just think it's interesting that, we're talking about like, what does all of this mean? And I think there's just like, there's just so many different ways that you can take it. And I think it's also important to recognize like history and like where all of this is rooted in. And if we can like deconstruct that in ourselves, a little bit and acknowledge some of that stuff, I think that's good. Can be good too. So
I think it was interesting, like, because I saw a similar thing, and it's interesting, like working for a tribe, because like Choctaw, I feel like similarly, and I've said this a couple of times, and this is entirely unfounded. It's based on my own experience of both places. But I think of Choctaw and Korea as very similar in the way that they have assimilated to Americanism. That's fine. Because I remember an early conversation that I had, and maybe it was the rest of us, with Jerry about how Korea so rapidly adopted Christianity.
Oh,
and
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
threw away, like not threw away, but like kind of threw away like centuries of other religious and philosophical tradition to, I mean, urgently and necessarily maybe like rebuild their economy and come back from the war and all those kinds of things. But just like the way that they were just like, we're just going to take Christianity and make that our thing. We're going to make it like at least half of our personality. And similarly, like the Choctaw people, when they were forcibly removed from their home and sent along the Trail of Tears, like one of the things that they did was they assimilated and they adopted Christianity and they adopted like European farming methods and all of these kinds of things. And so now, like having worked for them for a year and like joining them, like they're like, yeah, one of our cultural values is faith, like, and those kinds of things, because it's like, I mean, this is what we did to survive. And at the same time, I mean, they're also based in Oklahoma, which is its own situation. But so I think of it as like, that is a very gentle, maybe more happy marriage of, especially like an indigenous community and America, or like for us, like our indigenous origin and America. But then at the same time, I saw like a reel of another tribal member, different tribe, saying like, oh yeah, people talking about Thanksgiving is like, well, let's just talk about it as if it's 9/11. I'm like, oh yeah, 9/11 was, and that was like really hard for me to swallow just personally. I was like, wait, but it's not like that. And I was like, well, but then isn't it? And I was like, I mean, I guess, but then like, so like that, like just put me into all of these things. And I think it does, like, certainly, I mean, just because the backdrop of this conversation is Thanksgiving, but I think it also colors how we think about our broader life events. And I mean, like for me, anytime I see anyone celebrate a gotcha day, I'm like, yeah, but what about the other side of it? What about all of the other bits of it that we still feel, that another family, or if not another family, another life form, like in our birth mothers or potentially birth fathers as well, like they might be feeling that as well, and so I think that like that wrestling of the plurality of a day, of a moment, of a specific time is just like where we often hang our hats as adoptees.
100%. Well, I think it's hard. I mean, it's hard to have those things challenged. Like you said, like it's like when like it hits you hard in this, like, oh well, that's not what it means to me. And then it's like, oh, okay, well now I have to sit with that, because at the end of the day, like I have my own interpretation. And also Thanksgiving isn't about me. Like it's everybody. It's like it's all these things. Like it encapsulates all these different things, and it's a difficult thing to have your perceptions challenged, and then be able to and be willing to sit in that and be like, okay, can I sit with this and internalize it, or at least learn from it, and then have that inform and maybe not change, but have that be willing to like just learn and grow from something new.
Open-minded. Yeah. I mean, you can't be one-minded on that. And that's something that you said, KJ, that's very true. I forgot to mention that after we had a Thanksgiving lunch that night, we were just, didn't want to have leftovers, because we actually didn't have leftovers because we were traveling. So we were like, oh, we have to have dinner or something like that. Where should we go? Like Chinese food. They're always open on Thanksgiving. And it was interesting because we ordered some Chinese food, and I took it, I picked it up. And as I was leaving, I said, Happy Thanksgiving. Right. And then in my mind, I was like, I don't know. Do they even celebrate Thanksgiving? And I was like, maybe they don't. Maybe, I mean, they're sitting here just treating it as a normal day, selling their food, their restaurant and stuff like that. So, I was saying it because that's what was on my mind. But in a way, I really just wanted to say thank you for being open so that I could actually get some food too.
If only I had said that.
Thank you for being open.
I was like, because it's a holiday, so many things are closed. But no, I mean, I just didn't even think about the fact that so many people just probably don't celebrate Thanksgiving, or they don't celebrate in the same way that we do. And has same thing with other holidays too. Not everyone celebrates specific holidays, and so it's that's why I've always said happy holidays. Just again, like you said, general holiday time, not one specific thing.
Well, and that's like the American-ness of it all. Is like there's a certain set of holidays that denotes like this is America, and then but we're supposed to be like this melting pot of cultures, but we don't see schools or workplaces giving time off for like Salal or something, like the Lunar New Year or
Hanukkah
or other holidays that aren't specifically American. And friend of the show, Liz Kleinrock, she just put out a kid's book called Come and Join Us about, I think, 19 different holidays that are celebrated. And it's about like decentering Christmas as the like dominant holiday, essentially. Like that was the impetus for the
just
book.
Holidays around like December, or is that holidays
it's holidays all year. Yep, all year. So, and I'm excited to have that because I would have had no idea as a kid. And it's like, I'm excited to be able to give that to my kid to see, okay, there's a bunch of different things. And Emily's even shared that, at her school, at the school that she works at, that they do try to be mindful and acknowledge other cultural holidays than just being like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. Oh, it's Christmas, So I do think there are people out there trying to do it. But again, it's just like, this is the Western world that we live in.
Yeah, our school celebrated Diwali. So I thought that was really cool. And things like that I had never heard about in my time. And I kind of wish I had, learned about those things sooner. So,
but that's the best part about community. And that's why, like as a legacy, as a part of like, what does it mean to be part of this family? It's like, how do we connect with all of these different people and learn from other people and celebrate with them? And then from a generosity piece, how can we do those acts of generosity, those acts of kindness together and make that part of like what it is that we do? And is how I can carry that on from my adoptive family, from my family on, and hopefully my kids will want to do that and we'll model that for them, and we'll see.
Yeah. Well, and I think just being holiday aware.
Yeah.
Like the last thing you want to do is be like, oh, I learned about Diwali. I'm going to celebrate Diwali next year. Like,
for sure.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Like you're just
I'm Indian now.
Like that doesn't feel good. But certainly being holiday aware is a simple thing, and just being able to revisit that. And I think like that's the part, like especially when thinking about who you want to be and what it means to be a part of your family going forward, is like, can you be aware? Can you be gracious? And can you, especially like as you grow older and are in the workforce or whatever, like, can you create change in a way that's like, oh, would you like a day off to observe your high, like if it's a religious high holy day or like a holiday or, whatever. Like, can you give time to be like, if you celebrate Diwali, take the day off, like that's great, good for you. Or you celebrate Solal, then like, wait, isn't Solal New Year's though?
Yeah, I don't.
You celebrate Chuseok, take a couple days, whatever. I was like, wait a minute. I think actually a lot of people
was just saying words.
Get New Year's. Well, speaking of saying words, we should probably stop saying words, take a break, and then say more words about a snack or a drink item. I don't know what's in the box, but let's go there.
What's in the box?
Oh, that was pretty good.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. Feast time. And I don't know. That's,
banquet hour.
Banquet munchie time. I don't know what this munchie says because it is all in Hangul. And except for the company's name is Crown, I sent you guys the packaging. All I know is it's a cracker. So feel free to explain what it says there, KJ, because I don't... Dude, I'm looking at it.
I'm reading it, and I don't recognize any of these words. Okay.
Well, it is a square cracker, maybe a biscuit. I don't know. Is it sweet? Is it savory?
Flavor. Cocoa powder ka kadu. I don't know what any of that means.
Neither do I.
Dalkong.
It's got daikon in it.
Dalkong. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a cracker.
It's a
They're
cracker. It's a
square.
cracker.
It was easy to open.
It's a cracker. It's a cracker.
It's made by Crown, and it's got lots of stuff on it.
It reminds me of the Oreo cookies, Oreo crackers. So, like, just in the packaging. So I'm hoping it's that good. I don't know.
It's got a scent of coconut. It smells really good, actually. So,
Oop.
you may crumb your pants. Forewarning.
He's clearly already opened it and crumbed all over.
It's really crummy, and in a good way. But
Oh, these are good.
yeah, it's very
Well, I'm
flaky.
sending a calendar invite for my other podcast. All right, I'm ready to eat now.
Wow.
Wow, you're the worst.
You couldn't have just paused the recording. You decided to do that on air.
I had to do it on air.
Wow.
Check out my other show, Conversation Piece with Patrick Armstrong.
All right, cancel Patrick. He's out.
Oh, it smells good.
Yeah, this is real good. It's
Yeah.
like a proper cracker biscuit. Like it's got
Yeah.
it's thin, kind of like
Oh,
a Ritz
yeah.
cracker, but it's like more toasty than that.
It is. So that's the thing I've noticed first is it's toastier than like the other crackers that we've had. Like it has more of a not a burnt flavor, but a toasty flavor, I guess. And if you look at the cracker when you bite it, there's a middle layer of something. There's like two edge layers, and then there's a middle dark layer, and I don't know what that is.
Maybe it's a laminated.
What?
Yeah, it's like a middle.
Oh, the inside?
Yeah, the inside. It's like darker,
Can you laminate a cracker?
Mine is lighter.
but it's got all kinds of stuff on top of it. Like
I feel like we've had similar snacks. I'm not gonna lie. Like a buttery cracker.
yeah, buttery coconut toasty.
I mean, it's hard to go wrong with a buttery cracker.
I mean,
True.
I
I
need
ain't
some
mad about
coffee. I need some coffee with this. But no, these are pretty tasty. Don't got much to say. One of you has the ingredients. Is there anything interesting on the ingredients or calorie content? I don't know.
I would love to tell you, but it's all in Korean.
It's not as sweet as it looks. For some reason, it looks sweeter than it tastes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I think it's the opposite. I think it's sweeter than it looks.
Oh,
I think
interesting.
it looks
I
fairly
agree.
savory.
I think it looks like I don't know what it looks like, but it definitely tastes sweeter than what I think when I look at it.
I thought all that stuff on the top was going to be sugar. So, but it's not.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good. I'm gonna jump in and say 4.5. I really like these.
Mm.
There are however many in the mini package, and then you bought a package of whatever. So
Yeah.
it's like it's substantial though. Like one individual thing is substantial. I think Crown was like, oh, you know what's really good? Odeon crackers. You know what we could do? Odeon crackers, but different. And I think they nailed it. It's
put our name
Oregon
on it.
crackers, but slightly different. So, yeah.
You know what the slight difference is?
I don't know. It's probably it's like this is more of like a biscuit, whereas
it's
like
flaky.
the Oregon crackers are like
Oh, it's like more of a cracker.
a cracker
Yeah.
or like a chip almost. You know. Yeah. So I think that's the main difference. Probably some other vibe differences. Obviously, the box artwork is different, but yeah, I think it's really good. So 4.5 for me.
I was gonna go 4.5 as well. Very good snack. I like a lot. Can't even talk about it.
Very
just
good.
wanted to get to my only thing that would make it a 5 is if it had some chocolate on it. I think that would just
You know what
set
you
it
need?
over the
You know
top.
what you need to bring is you actually need to bring to the show like a little side dish of like chocolate so that you could just dip it.
What are
and
those
then-
like the Dunkaroos? Like from
Yeah,
that-
like
with
kind of like
chocolate?
that, just like a dippable chocolate situation, so that you could.
I
have
should.
that.
You're right. I should do that. What are you looking up, Nathan?
I'm trying to translate the hangul on the front. It says the translation comes out as Soboro. So
This is what it says. It just says
Yeah.
Soboro.
Soboro. So these
So-
are the Crown Soboro cookies.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we mentioned the name of it, so we just said that they were Crown and they were cookies that are square. But the Soboro, but I agree, 4.5 out of 5. I want some coffee or hot chocolate or something with it.
Yeah, but that sounds like a personal problem right now.
That does
No.
sound.
You're
See,
off
like mine
coffee.
was also
I know
personal.
I'm craving the
Yeah.
thing that I'm not getting. I know
I'm not
it's
saying
true.
either of you are wrong. I'm just saying it sounds deeply personal.
Yeah.
Or tea. Tea. Sorry, it's definitely a cookie or something that I would have with coffee or tea, right?
I just disagree with you. I don't think tea would be quite as good.
Oh, what about an Earl Grey tea with milk?
I don't know. I'll pray about it.
Okay.
I think we should start rating cookies on the scale of would leave out for Santa, would not leave out for Santa.
Oh, that's,
that's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one.
I don't think we have any more cookies in our box, but okay. Would you leave this out for Santa?
Yes, I
I
would.
would.
Yeah.
I would leave him one little package. Be like, you got to open it. We'll produce.
You have
crumbs.
to open. You're gonna make Santa do work.
Oh, dang.
Hey Santa, I know you just shimmied down my
Yeah,
chimney,
he
but
just
here's a
broke
package
into my
you gotta
house.
open.
You got to open the cookies himself. Breaking and entering.
So do
Might as
you-
well you're leaving stuff.
Do
Why
you
don't
like
just leave a little
vacuum seal
vacuum? Yeah.
cookies when you give them to Santa?
I
Do you
know.
have like
I
a
put 'em in a
little sous
Ziploc
vide that
bag.
you
I
like
just put
straight
them
up
in a
vacuum
Ziploc
seal
bag,
it?
and I'm like, here you go. If you need to go, take
You
them to
really
go. You
want
can
it.
take them to go.
Take your freaking mitts off.
Yeah.
He leaves a vacuum next to it too. It's like, make sure you clean up on your way out.
A little tip jar. Wild.
I spike the cookies
Oh my god.
and then find Santa passed out in my house,
Okay.
and then I ride in the sleigh. Oh,
Okay.
did I just ruin the show?
I don't know.
You ruined
went down
Christmas.
I
you
ruined
went
the
down you went down a dark hole of one of your bad dreams or something. I don't
Speaking
know.
of going down dark holes, if you want to talk to us about
Gross.
these cookies and whether you
What?
would or would not leave them out for Santa, you can send us an email to jonchishow@gmail.com or hit us up on any social media app at John Chi Show. You can also tell us via phone message by calling us at 972-677-8867.
We got a voicemail and I don't know what it says.
We have an unlistened to voicemail. Oh, wait.
No,
have you
I mean, like,
listened and
I
you
listened
don't know
to
what
it and I can't quite make out what is said.
Are they? Is it
So-
like a pocket dial or is it like
No,
an
it's
actual voicemail?
intentional. I just
Okay.
can't quite make out what was said. So, caller, I know who you are. You know who you are. Call back and enunciate, please, or don't. Honestly, I don't care. Maybe we'll just play it on air. We'll be like, what are
That
they
would be a
saying?
fun
Person
episode. Deciphering
Just decipher.
this voicemail.
Yeah, maybe that'll be a bonus.
Interesting.
That is funny.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah. So leave us more voicemails. Leave us more emails. Leave us more messages on our DMs on wherever you get your social media platforms at.
Yes. Thank you,
Um,
Sana. Sana keeps leaving us voice DMs. So,
Voice
great.
messages in our
Yeah.
on
Love
our
it.
And the
Instagram.
Instagram.
Cool. I like that. Leave us voicemails. Leave us VMs, aka voice messages, in our DMs, aka direct messages. If you want to support the show, we'd love it if you go to jonchishow.com and visit our store. We got a bunch of stuff there. Our web developer is slowly making our show website more functional and more fun, so you can check that out as that progresses. And if you feel so inclined, we'd love it if you could leave us a rating or review wherever you get your podcasts. Always appreciate that. And is that it? Personals?
Personal.
Yeah, personals.
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 It's getting personal.
It's getting personal. You can get at me personally, at Patrick in the World, wherever I want to be found on the internet.
I am N Nowak on Instagram and Nathan Nowak on Facebook.
Hit me up at KJ Roelke, wherever I want to be found on the internet, which I honestly don't even know where I want to be found on the internet right now, but I can be found. So find me there.
Do you want to be found at all?
Oh, I'm sure you can be found.
Yeah. I mean, I like to believe that somewhere out there beneath the pale moonlight, someone's thinking of me, loving
Brother
me tonight.
Google knows where you are
So,
at all times.
Brother Google.
Yikes.
Classic. All right. Well,
That's our
thank you
show.
Thank you for following us down that dark hole of plugs for our show.
Gross. That's so bad.
It's great. It's great. I really enjoy it. Nathan's really enjoying it. Until next week, I have to hit the outro. Until next week, Janchi.
Janchi.